1954, someone chained wealthy landowner Isidore Banks to a tree, doused him with gasoline, and burned him alive. 27-year-old Isaac Woodward was taken off a bus, jailed, and while in police custody, beaten so badly that he went blind in one eye while the other was gouged out. In Louisiana, a man was mutilated, castrated, and blowtorched. In Alabama, the police chief shot an already wounded man in the head, killing him. In South Carolina, another had both eyes taken out by the sheriff's billy club. In Georgia, two couples were attacked by a mob, tied to a tree, and fired upon at close range. One of the men was castrated, while one of the women had her spine cut in half from being hit with over 60 bullets. Mae Dorsey, already dead, had the fetus cut from her body. No one was ever arrested. What do all these men have in common? They were black war veterans, and in some cases, butchered while still in uniform. In the first year after World War I, some estimates say 70 black war veterans, having just returned from Europe, were lynched. Though the numbers vary, it is generally accepted that over 4,000 African Americans have been lynched since 1882, with no protection from police or justice from the legal system to prosecute these murderous mobs. That number doesn't include those who have been simply shot, beaten, mutilated, burned, or just disappeared, never to be seen again. Whenever an excuse had to be given for this killing, the victims were accused of being criminals, often of rape of a white woman, a thief, or some other nefarious figure. The real cause was an effort to keep a population terrorized so as to remain afraid to enter the greater society, hence the law and law enforcement routinely ignored the suffering and often participated in it. Who you were and what you were wearing made no difference when it was time to make an example of you in the name of white supremacy and the current socio-political structure. African Americans have been victims of violence from the state as long as the state has existed, and alleged criminality has perpetually been the excuse, while social control has always been the reason. This brutal social control for the benefit of the current power structure has not disappeared, only morphed forms in an effort to garner support from the peaceful and well-meaning. It comes under the guise and slogan of law and order, and reaps the same oppressive result. After the passage of the Civil Rights Act, though a few didn't change their verbiage, there was a general shift from past segregationist politicians to begin talking about crime instead of race, though they had all once equated integration and civil disobedience against Jim Crow as criminal. Getting tough on crime was the rallying call, and all talk about race vanished. Though the villains just happened to be the same race who just moved politically forward. Through this war on crime, focused almost exclusively in black and brown communities, the prison industrial complex was born, sending people of color behind bars in droves, retarding the political and economic influence of these groups on purpose. Because of this, the US now has the largest prison rate in the world. Not due to people all of a sudden becoming violent in the last 30 years, but because so many are locked up for non-violent minor drug offenses, which has reshaped the landscape of the political spectrum. The necks of the historically oppressed are still being stepped on, only now the true intentions can be hidden in a new way, by merely raging against so-called criminals, just as they did when men, women, and children were found hanging from trees. Some have adopted the idea that the police have militarized because of supposed young thugs with sagging pants, but in fact, departments are paid for drug arrests, and they use the money for equipment more suitable for fighting an army. Police have a right to defend themselves, but let me ask you, how many police have been killed by youth on the corner versus how many youth and innocents have been murdered by cops in the past 2 years? When you recognize the war on crime and the war on drugs as part of a bigger national program of political and social isolation, which has horrific roots dating back to Reconstruction, that through media and conditioning, skin color and criminality have been equated to one another, you will begin to see how demeaning it is to blame big pants, loud music, and some jewelry for police harassment and brutality. If a military uniform couldn't protect us then, a suit won't protect us now. We keep avoiding the issue and blame the dead boy for not being subservient. In 2015, are people of color still supposed to duck their head and be quiet in fear of their life when approached by the police? Must we take in the same posture as if we were driving down a dark southern road in 1925 and the local sheriff pulls us over? There is crime in urban areas that must be addressed, but police misconduct and outright war against entire communities only makes matters worse. People who have done no wrong are criminalized, and the nonviolent are treated like killers just because of their address and their skin. Through prison and brute force, the power in this country is attempting to marginalize an entire population. It's the same old story. Let's wake up, be informed, and push back against this modern form of domestic terrorism.